You gonna get pissy with me?
Yeah.
Okay. Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the 210th edition of Cinema Effect. I'm Zach, and I'm joined by RMF, Sir Traj, Jaden.
You need to do this again because you can't call me RMF because he's a Greek man. So
Oh, that was actually not my intention in doing that.
yeah, so you need to stop the show and start again.
But you couldn't come up with any other name.
Well, what we had going was fine.
Your fault.
I don't know why you decided to change it and be spontaneous this week.
Well, no, you'll see now. I'm trying to do a movie relevant bit now where I'm going to say that Liam is. I'm also joined by Jesus, Fitzy, Liam. The three characters played by that man right there.
Oh, okay.
The three.
Yeah.
The three characters that you play, Jaden, are, well, now it's offensive apparently that I've said that you play RMF. Jaden's so thoroughly unimpressed by this. I'm so sorry. I thought it was a cool idea, but Jaden's apparently never been called a cool nickname in his life. So,
That's true.
Yeah, that's sort of a shame. Anyway, we'll grieve later. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Cinema Effect, the podcast where we review and talk about a different movie every single Monday. And this week, that movie is Kinds of Kindness, which opened in the US June 28th, 2024. It was directed by Yorgos Lanthimos. It is a comedy drama. How do we feel about comedy? Just quickly.
It's comedy. It's his comedy.
It's his comedy? Yeah, that's fair. Okay. And the synopsis says, a man seeks to break free from his predetermined path. A cop questions his wife's demeanour after her return from a supposed drowning. And a woman searches for an extraordinary individual prophesied to become a renowned spiritual guide. So yeah, those are the three different stories that encompass the film. Should I also acknowledge that, like, we said we were doing Panic Room this week, but we lied?
Yes. This is like the second time we've done this, I think.
Dude, honestly, 210 episodes, not too bad. We've only done it twice now. I think we've been pretty good overall. So be grateful for how good we've been in the past, not scummy on us for this time. You know what I mean? Anyway, that is now acknowledged. So deal with it. Liam, Kinds of Kindness. These three different Yorgos stories. What did you think of it?
I didn't fully vibe with it, but I was somewhat engaged overall. I think, like, in general, it was just a great kind of, audition reel for like 5 or 6 different actors, and
yeah,
I think that the surrealism was pretty. Like, it definitely was. It was definitely very strong, comedically, and yeah, I don't know. I feel like I kind of I understood some through line after the viewing, but yeah, I didn't vibe with each story too much, I guess. But I was engaged throughout.
Okay. As in, you didn't vibe with any of them individually, or some more than others?
Yeah, some more than others. Yeah, I mean, I'll just say I guess I enjoyed the first one and the third one more than the second one.
Yeah. Okay. I think I'm probably similar to you there. Yeah, I didn't love it. I did appreciate and enjoy a lot of it, though. I think it's a film that's hopefully going to benefit a lot from discussion. You've already brought up a potential through line, and that's something I was thinking about as well. And I'm sure a lot of people will think about walking out. Going in, I didn't expect this film to speak to me more than Poor Things. Oh, sorry, I did. Sorry, I did expect it to speak to me more than Poor Things, because I'm on board with the Yorgos weirdness when it's contrasted with a real world setting. I was telling this to Fitzy yesterday. I just find that works a lot better for me, because it's like, it really feels like he's saying something about aspects of our society today and poking fun at us and poking fun at human behavior in an absurd way, but in a way when it's set in this real world sort of backdrop that resembles something we're familiar with. It's still sort of, I can identify with aspects of it, even though it's so bizarre. So for that reason, I did expect it to like it more than Poor Things. And when I watched the trailer, and I absolutely did, that was true. I just, yeah, Poor Things was just weird because I couldn't get into the whole uninteresting story and the bizarre universe that it was in. So this one was definitely my flavor of Yorgos, I guess, of these different flavors, but still a lot in the runtime for me. Like I still sort of found myself the afternoon, my afternoon viewings get a bit sleepy, and it was just longer than I thought. So it was a lot of Yorgos, a lot of good Yorgos, but still a lot to take in for sure. Jaden, what did you think? He's back. What did you think?
I honestly don't know. It just feels like I think I quite liked it, but then at the same time, I feel like there's just this like sense of nothingness about me with the film, where I'm like, this feels so inconsequential, which like a film like this shouldn't feel to me. I don't know, like it just feels like I'm going to forget about this come year end, which typically for Yorgos, that's not really the go. Or for these actors, or for this type of kind of story presented this way, or whatever. I'm not sure where this kind of apathetical look at it kind of arises from, but yeah, like I quite liked what was presented, but like at the same time, it just feels like unaffecting.
Interesting. Yeah. How were you engaged with it throughout? Did you have sort of spikes with the different stories, or?
No, I was pretty engaged with it. I think I did quite like it, but at the same time, I just didn't care for it. I don't know how, but like
okay.
it just feels like it's not going to last on me. I think, and like it just, I don't know. Yeah.
It didn't resonate, even though it was engaging in the moment. It was
sure.
enjoyable. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I get what you mean. So I just have here in my notes, I sort of feel like it makes the most sense to tackle each story one by one. To get that out of the way, and then we'll have some broader comments, I think. First of all, something happened shocking. When was the last time that you guys missed the start of a movie? Because I think it's been 13 years for me.
Yeah,
and I was pretty
since I
upset
was a
about
child.
it.
Yeah.
I was shocked when it was already started 4 minutes after the actual scheduled time, which is like some sort of world record in cinema, in theaters. So I was like, Jesus Christ, that was wild. We were discussing afterwards what we thought we missed, and anyone who's seen the film probably realizes it wasn't much. But like did we see the actual? Were we walking in as the crash happened?
He was kind of walking over to the car or something like that, I think.
Oh, so a crash had just happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we just missed the initial car crash, but we were still out on the street. I had some trivia here that I took just because I was like, anything to give us some insight into what we missed. The 20th Century Studios and TSG Entertainment fanfares are notably absent in this film. Sweet Dreams are made of this by what's that band? Eurythmics. Arithmetics, thank you. English. Plays over the two logos in the opening credits of the film. So just visualize that,
cool.
guys.
Yeah, I can feel that. Yeah,
you can feel that. Yeah. And then you imagine that there was like some. We were saying this,
and it cuts to like a diegetic sound.
Yeah. And then you get like a shot of the street, and you get the title, and then you get maybe like Jesse sitting in the car, and then he starts driving, I guess. I mean, that probably would have been pretty cool. We probably missed the cool part where he started driving.
Yeah. We didn't miss it because it was late, because we were late. We missed it because they didn't run 15 minutes of ads like they meant to.
Exactly.
By the way, I just like, it's not, we were in
movie scheduled for 3 p.m. We literally walked in at 3:04. As any moviegoer knows, we don't need to explain this, but any moviegoer knows, perfectly reasonable amount of time, you'd still expect to sit there for 10 to 15 minutes after that. But the movie had just started, and I was like, whoa, that's weird. So yeah, and it didn't. Who was it? I think Andy said that there was going to be the guy at the counter said there was going to be 8 minutes of ads.
Yeah, I actually heard him say that too. Yeah.
Unless they meant like the 8 minutes was before the 3 p.m. That's weird, really weird. Anyway, that was bizarre. It sounds kind of like, Fitzy and I think we're on the same page that. Well, did you enjoy? You said you liked 1 and 3. Did you like 1 more than 3?
Well, first of all, I'll just say, like, I really relate to
Yeah.
what Jaden said. Like, I think that was what I was trying to say. Like, overall, I found everything kind of engaging, and the, surrealist angle he took kind of interesting, but it does kind of feel like inconsequential on the whole. And I guess that's just part of, like, that might just be part of just segmenting the stories in itself, that you get kind of going to have, like, less overall, resonance or consequence to the whole thing. But yeah, in terms of the stories, I think 3 I wasn't like too interested at first, but I think it like became more and more interesting, and then 1 I was pretty much in for the whole time, and 2 I think was interesting in parts.
Yeah. Okay, I get you. So you like 1 more than 3? It sounds like.
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you the same, Jaden?
I think so too. Yeah, I think 3 could have, like 3 was already the longest, but I think it still could have used fleshing out, to almost its own feature length type thing, just to give it a bit more.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Depth.
Yeah.
And like, I appreciate they need to take the extra time with it rather than keeping it to 40 minutes again. But I feel like it was still just like in that little bit of like, I don't know. I love cult shit and like seeing them on screens, so I would have loved to see a bit more of the consequences of that.
Yeah. Was 3 the longest?
I'm pretty
Or
sure
did
it was.
you felt like it was
It
longest?
just
I
felt
didn't.
like it was. Yeah, I don't know if it
Yeah.
actually was. I didn't time it, but I'm pretty sure it was.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not really sure. I sort of felt pretty close to me. Yeah. Okay. No, I'm pretty much right there. I agree that 1 is my favorite. It's called The Death of RMF. So yeah, I think I like this one the most. Probably because I'm pretty sure I understood it fairly well. I think as its own piece, like I think it's pretty interesting and has something to say that I understood and related to, um and yeah, that's why the other 2 sort of lacked for me. I liked, Jade and I were talking about this yesterday, but I liked its criticism of workplace culture, and but also more broadly, I thought it was a funny commentary on like how us as humans respond to order, process, and routine, and all that kind of stuff. So that was sort of my main takeaway from it. And I thought the arc that Jesse Plemons had. Hey, I've got my cheat sheet here to remember all these goddamn characters' names. Robert, the arc that Robert had in this one, like perfectly fit into that, and was quite satisfying in its own sort of way. Even though, like, I don't know if the outcome was necessarily like one that I was meant to think was like great or anything. But oh yeah, James got his cheat sheet out too. But yeah, it felt like very thematically cohesive to what I was picking up from it, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. Why was this our favorite? Do you guys have the same interpretation of it as me? And how did you sort of relate to its themes more than maybe the other ones, if they connected with you more, and if that was a reason that it worked?
So I was saying yesterday about like how like, with Plemons' profession, it felt like overtly like a criticism of traditional architecture roles. Like we like and like like the kind of how like controlling master architects used to be, and how like domineering they were on projects, and like you had to be thankful for working for them, and like there was such a toxic kind of like workforce kind of culture that was occurring, because like you had to work for the best, and then the best were like shit, and then you can't go away from them because then your career's ruined, so you go back to them, and they ask you to do too much, they say no, and then it felt so much like that. And like like obviously with his profession being within that, like that's why I think I liked it and connected to that one so much.
Yeah.
I think it's very easy to see many of the world's most famous architects as Raymond.
Yes.
Raymond.
Willem Dafoe.
Yeah. So yeah, I think like that's definitely one of like the things that drew me to that one more. And I love the kind of, I think the stilted performances in that one were fantastic as well. It just adds such a, I don't know, added a great texture to it.
Still to performances from whom?
From all of them, it was all kind of.
You felt it? Yeah, okay.
It was all like so deliberately acted, like in a way that's bad, but like obviously they're instructed to do it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
In this such like deliberate way.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Interesting.
like the way
I
they
didn't think of the
speak
word stilted.
is like very intentionally kind of stagnant and like always the same kind of rhythm.
Being very careful how they speak. That makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I think the I love that architecture parallel and how you can relate to it strongly, Jane. And I think there's I think it's a comment more broadly, but I think it very much is very. I think it was very apt that they chose architecture and that as the example, I guess, or as the study in this case, because it seems based on what you're telling us, I didn't know anything about this master architect stuff and about that culture, so it sounds like it's just very applicable to the themes of what it's sort of going with. So it makes sense to choose that. But yeah, so Fitzy, how did you feel about those ideas, and is that what you took away from it as well?
Yeah, I guess so. I think like my general understanding of the film has made me think of this one differently. The way like each story concludes, but I think like just looking at the first one in isolation, I think looking at like the kind of critique of getting everything from one person is kind of it was really good. Like I love the detail that he keeps reusing the kind of the foot bit, and it's like this one thing that he learned from Raymond. He just kind of abuses. It's none of himself. He's just repeating things that he's kind of learned from others, and I like that, and I like the kind of the very articulate but false feeling nature of like all this speech and the way everything was like so regimented, and I think the cinematography in this was pretty awesome. There's like black and white kind of flashbacks and that kind of thing interspersed in it were very cool. So yeah, and overall I think like Robert's arc and following his kind of desire to get back was actually kind of it was like fulfilling in a sense, but it was kind of depressing as well. But it was engaging, I guess. It was, you could kind of put yourself in Robert's shoes very easily, even though it was so unreal.
Exactly, yeah. That's what I was going to ask, how he felt about the outcome, and if it was one that was like one that we felt positively or negatively towards overall. Because you can, there's kind of that double-edged sword to it, I guess. But like Jaden, when you get that final, I mean, I love that final shot of them, like the three of them huddled together. It's so funny. That's like perfectly. It's easy, like that unity and that comfort that it brings is like the exact emotion that that fits the story perfectly. But at the same time, it's just such a funny visual that it's like that's like quintessential what I want out of like a Yorgos film kind of thing. That's what I loved about it. But when you saw that shot, Jane, was that for you? Was that like a satisfying conclusion in a? Or was it sort of like, oh, like he succumbed, he gave in?
No, it's terrible. Yeah, he's given up his soul to like the thing is, like, many of the people that did work under these kind of people then do go on to do great stuff on their own. So like that kind of does fit in with the kind of analogy.
Oh, okay.
Like, because it's all about making him great. Giving him his own tools and then releasing him to the world. It's kind of like, I don't know how far into the bear you've got, but when they talk about legacy, it's almost like a toxic version of legacy.
Right.
But then so like many people like have ended up staying with these and like kind of becoming great, and that's kind of what felt like the conclusion to this was. But like it's never really a positive, to continue to work under those conditions.
Yeah. I think that's a really valid way of looking at it. I'm kind of the opposite, to be honest, in terms of
because you're a corporate slave.
Not even from a corporate point of view, like from a Robert point of view, in terms of like what he has to go through when he goes off the rails. So he when he breaks free, he doesn't want to kill RMF. He doesn't want to do the car thing. And we see everything as a result of that decision just go totally off the rails for him when he does that. I just on a personal level, like I can obviously an absurd situation, but I can honestly relate in terms of losing your routine, losing that structure, that order to your life. Like that's what he lost, and how that totally derails him was quite fascinating to watch. And in reflecting on, like, even down to the way in which, like, his days, you could look at it like, oh, he lost his job, he lost his career, like, sure, but I sort of saw it more as, oh, he lost his and his wife, but I sort of saw it more as, oh, but he lost his routine, he lost his, that regiment that he had to follow every day of like what he had to eat and at what time he had to do everything. Like, even down to reading before bed, like I do, So it was like I could relate to the idea of if my routine was taken away from me, I think I would function less effectively as a human if I didn't follow that. So I could relate to Robert in terms of why he'd want to get back.
Yeah, but yours is self-dictated. Yours isn't being controlled by someone else.
No. That's totally valid. But I guess, but it's just the idea of, so the source is different. No, that's a valid point. But nonetheless, I think the result is the same thing, though, of like just the importance of that, of what that has in your life and how it can affect your well-being overall, and its sort of value in what you do to keep it, I guess, is sort of an interesting idea. So yeah, if it was no, you're right. That is, the cause is different, I guess. But nonetheless, if something were to happen to me, where like, or if something were to happen, I think for a lot of people where their life situation was totally thrown upside down, and they could do something to get it back, I think they would do it. Like they would do their whatever their, of course, less dramatic equivalent of running into the hospital and running over RMF is, to get back that comfort, that life that they understand. So that's sort of that was sort of the interesting part about it to me, and sort of what you're willing to do to get back to that sort of comfort zone that you, whatever it is that you have. So yeah, I thought that was fascinating. And just, I guess in terms of the humor and the silliness and the way it, said it a million times already of how absurd these situations are. Like the way, there's so many examples throughout the film and in this short, but when you looking at the way Willem Dafoe treats Robert in their conversations, which were some of my favorite scenes in the movie, they're totally ridiculous. And when he's there at his house and he asks him to re-enter the room and start the conversation over and over again in numerous ways, for example, obviously totally ridiculous. But when you take it on board and compare it to social behavior, this is what I felt Yorgos was doing in this one. Like when you compare it to regular social behavior we're expected to perform on an everyday basis, that we don't see as odd, or we don't really take a second to reflect on it. But really, when viewed in a certain way, we do just as absurd shit every day. You know what I mean? Like the way you would, if you take the architecture parallel, the way you'd suck up to your boss, or the way you might strategically time when you say something, or plan what you're going to say to someone, or all these just everyday things that we don't really think anything of as functioning in society and interacting with other people. It's just, I just love the way in which Yorgos is able to like poke fun at us, and like sort of like we watch his movie and say, oh, this is ridiculous, why are they behaving like this? And then it's, for me at least, it sort of makes me reflect, well, hang on, I feel like we sort of do shit like this every day and don't really take notice of it. So that was another aspect, but I don't know, I'm just trying to think, was that unique to this short? Well, first, I don't even know if you guys agree with that at all, but like, was that unique to this short? Is that something Yorgos does in general? But I mainly got it from this one, and I found that quite fascinating as well. I feel like I was being, and I feel like we're all sort of being poked fun at in that respect.
Yeah, I mean, the second one's definitely, I mean, the first one's definitely more workplace culture, society critique stuff. But I think that the same kind of thing can be seen in the third one, I guess, with the cult's kind of internal rules.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's totally true. Shout out to the moment that Willem Dafoe stood up and he had his little shorts and his long socks. That made me laugh. Just the outfits in the movie in general were good. The perfect example of that sort of just absurdist sort of nature coming in of just, that shit's funny and weird. But again, maybe we wear funny and weird stuff all the time, like Luke's jacket last night. That was pretty funny and weird, you know what I mean? So it's easy to make fun of other people's fashion.
I think the sports paraphernalia was fun.
The racket?
The racket, the Sender's helmet, the ping pong ball. I think that was Tonya Harding's ribbon, maybe. That's the only ice skater I know, so I guess it was. We'll say it is. It was a fun angle.
Stephen Bradbury?
Was he there? Oh, you mean skater?
But I just another ice skater I know.
Yeah. Fair.
Cool. All right. Second one, RMF is flying. This might be the one. So it sounds like we enjoyed this the least. This might be the one I understood the least as well. In attempting to, and we can try and relate this to the film overall. And I'm sure I think about the title a lot as well in terms of trying to piece all this together, which I'm sure we'll do too. But yeah, what did you guys think this one was most about, if anything? What were sort of the main themes that stood out? Because like I said, I think I need some help.
Well, I think this one was still pretty interesting. I think that this one made me understand the film the most.
Okay.
Because I think, like in each story, basically, the main character kind of gets what they want in the end by following their weird kind of internal logic and ignoring everything else in the world around them that's telling them that they shouldn't, follow that kind of path. And so I think the fact that Daniel.
Oh, yeah.
The fact that Daniel was right in that Liz wasn't Liz in a sense. She was this kind of other person. And the fact that he followed that all the way to her cutting limbs off and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But him being right in the end, I think that's what kind of is the commonality between each character and in each story. It's kind of like you have to follow your own understanding of the world and your own internal vision, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that ending really kind of cemented that for me. With the real Emma Stone, the real Liz coming back at the end.
Yeah, that's an excellent parallel between all three of them. That's totally true. I didn't even think of that at all. But that's 100% true. I guess looking at this specific story, I didn't really. I guess I was just lost on the notion that. I mean, I understand why he initially becomes convinced that it's not her because she's doing different little clues and things that seem odd to him, even though like the one with put on your favorite song but he actually liked the song anyway, things like that. It's just like, again, like you were saying, getting so wrapped up in his own internal logic that it's like to everyone else it's kind of like, oh, it's not that weird, and keeping in mind her situation that she'd apparently been through. So, but yeah, I don't know, I guess I didn't quite understand, looking at just this story by itself, like the cause and effect of him being proven right in the end, and why did why the fake Liz, or why the real Liz came back at the end, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
or like what the fake Liz even represented. Sorry. Yeah.
I think it's cool how initially I was kind of giving him the benefit of the doubt, but then I think it very much satirizes his position and kind of makes a joke out of it, and makes you just not on his side. But I think that's part of the strength of the story in the end, in that he just kind of sticks to his understanding of what's happening and is correct in the end, even though your understanding, your journey with him is kind of a roller coaster. He kind of remains the same the whole time.
Yeah, exactly. That's totally true. It was a roller coaster because I definitely. I mean, I gave him the benefit of the doubt at the start too, like, with the chocolate and things like that. I was like, oh yeah, I mean, this guy knows her well, I guess that makes sense. And then yeah, as obviously as it went on with all these different crazy shit with the limbs, and it's like, I definitely started to lose faith, and then that faith ended up being valid for him. But it was just such an interesting. So I guess that makes sense. It's just such an interesting take on, like, I guess Liz's role in particular just sort of stumped me in terms of I don't know, like her being fake. She has numerous scenes in the film too where um I don't know, like she defends him to her dad. She has that whole scene. Um
Mm.
there's scenes where fake Liz seems to show a fair bit of kindness and benefit of the doubt towards him in her own way. And like, when she's at the doctor's office as well, and she sort of defends him a little bit or says it's not a big deal. I guess I feel like there's some analogy there that I'm just, or like some thematic thing going on there that I'm just totally missing in terms of like what her role is, and then her dying, and you know what I mean, all that playing out like that.
Yeah, I don't know about Liz. I mean that sounded more like a kind of abusive relationship kind of angle. I was kind of commenting on that, I guess. Like that doctor scene where she like kind of defends him was, I think you're supposed to kind of not agree with her defense,
Yeah. Okay.
Mm.
Yeah. You are. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's if you're meant to be. I mean, that does make sense. If you're meant to be sort of at that point turned against Daniel, if you're meant to be turned against him by that point and sort of questioning everything he's doing and be like, oh, this guy's kind of scummy, then it's sort of weird for that to be validated at the end, right?
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is kind of jarring, yeah. So it does kind of clash, I guess.
Yeah. No, because I mean, just that scene by itself, I definitely agree. Yeah, I don't know. And then, I mean, I guess there's the whole other thing of like why fake Liz even. I like this. I like this take on it being like an abusive relationship, sort of. If I'm trying to, I don't want to fit a square peg into a round hole, but if that is sort of what it's about, then the way she sort of takes the punishment and is willing to do all this crazy, like he asks very intentionally asks her to cut off her finger, and she willingly does it. Is there something to there, like her role in that, why she's doing that? Because she does it willingly as well, so.
I don't think this story was about an abusive relationship at all.
Please chime in.
No, I don't want to chime in because I don't know what it's about. But I just think that you're trying to misanalyze it, and I think you're trying to force things from this angle.
Okay, yeah, oh yeah.
I think that doctor scene
fair.
was meant to be taken in isolation as a consequence of what had been happening already, and not really meant to speak about the entire film, like the entire idea. Quite.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's totally. Like, I was aware I might have been doing that. That's totally fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But like, so if we're meant to derive a kind of kindness from all the shorts, then like, what was the kind of kindness from this one meant to be? I guess
the main surface level one I got was that fake Liz was showing him kindness and being sort of giving him the benefit of the doubt at times. Like I said, with that whole scene where extended scene where she talks to her dad about him was kind of was as it was happening. I'm like, oh, this is a kind of kindness right here, but. That's again weird in the outcome.
That doesn't. With the outcome, I feel like that doesn't function as
I agree. Yeah.
And like his reward, like the fact that like Liz shows up right as soon as fake Liz kills herself is like,
yeah,
I don't know. And this was definitely the hardest one to decipher.
And definitely, and like I said, she willingly kills herself.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think the abuse angle is totally null and void, because like if you run with that angle, it's basically saying that he molded her into the Liz that he wants her to be, and by the end the real Liz showing up is like it's the new Liz who's fully gone all the way into like meeting his desires, and the fact that at this point she's cut out her liver, right? It's a metaphor,
Yes, that's good. That's a. I like that a lot. So if you
But
compare that to
no, I don't agree with that though, because the fake Liz is giving him everything that like the real Liz couldn't. In that, like, she was reintroducing chocolate into his life. She could have the kid that the real Liz couldn't have. She was.
Yeah, but you're thinking of it too literally. Like you need to think of it as like, this is one version of Liz, and she changed herself and made herself into like a new person that fully fits his wants, kind of.
Right, not saying it's literally it's literally two different people. Like he sees it. That's how he sees it. But
yeah,
but I feel like that's the better way to be analyzing it, because like I feel like this kind of, I don't know. I feel like the kind of shaping thing is a bit basic of an analogy. I don't know. I feel like seeing it as two people gives it a bit more of an interesting kind of discussion.
One that we can't solve.
Well, yeah, that's why it's interesting.
yeah, no, it is. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
it
does make sense with like how absurd the idea is that there's two different.
Sorry, so.
No. Oh, the idea that all the other characters think it's ridiculous that there's. Well, you think this is actually Liz is back and she's actually a different person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it makes sense that she wouldn't. Obviously, it makes sense she wouldn't be, because that is a ridiculous idea. I guess, yeah. I don't think the film. I guess the film doesn't go that deep into analogy anywhere else. But it is also a standout. It is also a weird story.
Mm. Yeah, I think the final Liz reveal definitely works towards your idea, though, Liam. But like,
which one, the abusing or the other one?
Yeah. But like, I just don't. I don't know. Don't like it, the story.
That makes you like it less, yeah.
Well, I definitely like the first interpretation better, where it's just like his, it's his kind of following of his internal world, I guess, and he's supposed to be isolated from it a bit.
Aren't they the same? Like, can't both those things be true?
Yeah, I guess so. But like, it does. I don't know. I think it still clashes a little bit, I guess.
Yeah, I think the abuse also makes sense, actually, looking at it as like a kind of, if each story is framed from a different form of view, from like kind of workplace, marital, and then like kind of religious, or like kind of like,
faith.
Yeah, faith. So like
false hope. Yeah.
No,
it's interesting.
Yeah, no, you've surely got a valid point.
That's actually that's really interesting. So then, I guess looking at the outcomes and like the feelings left, you felt I think most people are going to agree with you that the yuckiness toward the ending of the first one. Does this? I guess yuckiness. Is this one meant to? The yuckiness. Is this one also meant to leave you with some yuckiness? Then, if we're taking the abuse angle, like intellectually, when you think it through, like obviously no one's happy that their partner's being, I've just seen a character be, if we're taking this interpretation, that we've just seen a character be abused to the point of being molded. Like, that's obviously not a positive thing. But like, what was the raw emotion like with it ending, and how does that sort of compute, I guess? How did we feel as it ended? Like,
if you kind of peel back the layer of like satisfaction from each character and each story getting what they want, you can kind of invert it and see each story negatively, I guess. Like, they all follow their own psychological world, but that psychological world is molded with like abusive like societal values and that kind of thing. I guess that would be a more cohesive like through line for each story, because then you kind of incorporate the element that Jaden's talking about that's like in each one.
So if you look at the ending of every story of two sides from two perspectives, you've got you've got the character point of view, which is how I viewed the first one with Robert. Where I was viewing it from his point of view, and I felt that relief, and I was like, oh, I can see this being a positive ending for him. But looking at it more like objectively, I suppose it's actually a criticism, and you're not meant to feel good about it.
Yeah.
Socially, exactly. So you could say that. So it's sort of the same thing in the second one, where it's like, oh, if you look from Daniel's point of view, it's a positive ending because he got what he wanted, but
Mm,
it's not a good thing overall in the commentary itself, obviously. So
yeah, I think there's a dichotomy to it. Yeah.
I mean, I really like that. So can you do the same with the third story? Just while we're talking about it.
Maybe we'll wait until we like fully discuss the third one, and then
You want
incorporate it.
you want to get our minds warmed up on the third one?
Yeah, exactly.
No, that's fair. That's fair. I guess the only last thing I'll share on this one was I thought the whole use of the porno video was really funny, and
Oh yeah. Did you see that coming?
Was a great reveal. No,
I definitely thought that. I definitely thought
Yeah,
that
as
this
soon
would
as
be
he
Really?
awesome. Yeah.
As soon as he said video, and they were like, "Oh, it's gonna make us
Yeah,
uncomfortable," I was like, "He's gonna show them sex tape." And then,
Really?
like, all four of them. I was like,
that's so good. No, I didn't say. I don't know. I thought it was gonna be like their wedding video or something, and they just didn't want to watch that, which would be understandable. But no, I didn't. My head didn't even go there.
Mm.
That was just a really funny thing, and like I don't know how horny they all like how when she came back and how horny she was. It was just a very funny way to sort of represent the dynamics at play as it was going.
I like the glimpse of the dog world that she talks about. That we get.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. That was
very
really
funny
cool.
stuff. I think is.
I mean, the dog hanging itself was not my favorite shot.
Oh, dude, that's funny as shit though. Like you have to admit, like.
I feel like it needed it. It needed like because I was like, oh, this is so cute. Wow, look at the doggies and like and the human run over on the side of the road. And then I was like, oh, that's awesome. And then the dog hanging itself. It's like that's the reality check it needed for me. I was like, oh, yeah, actually, this isn't all sunshine and rainbows doggy world, because the poor doggies would hang themselves, I guess. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. I'm happy to move on to RMF Eats a Sandwich if there's nothing else.
Yeah, I'll just say I think like him being a cop is an interesting detail, but
yeah,
I don't.
Isn't like 70% of cops like domestic abuse or something like that?
Yeah, maybe Yorgos was told that statistic and like I've got my second story. Here it is. Now my mind's trying to piece together like Willem Dafoe's role and like that, like how that might play into the domestic abuse.
Well, like it seemed like we weren't supposed to root for him, but maybe he was like the voice of reason,
Yeah, because he did come across as annoying, but
and he was criticizing Daniel, and at certain points you're kind of not supposed to agree with him. But I think if you look at it from the angle we've been looking at it, it's like he was actually trying to get her out of this situation.
Yeah, exactly. He could see something was wrong, actually.
And I think the fact that there's like attention drawn to the scene where she's getting awarded and he's unhappy for it.
Yeah.
Once again, works for your angle.
Yeah. And when we're so rooted. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And when we're rooted in Daniel's, I keep fucking I'm not even joking. When we're rooted in Daniel's perspective, like it's funny how that scene plays out with this new perspective in mind because it was very much like Willem Dafoe's annoying because like Daniel's in my mind I'm like Daniel's reasonable for thinking this chick's not the same, but it's like that actually what does that make me an abuser? You know what I mean?
Well, I think it's just because of like Yorgos's like from a meta side, Yorgos's filmography makes it seem like Daniel is right, Because in his kind of surrealist kind of stories that he usually portrays, like having a double isn't exactly out of his wheelhouse. It just makes sense for him to make a story like that, and that's why like it makes sense to root for Daniel. From that, like I don't know, yeah.
That weird meta perspective of like what we know he does. Yeah, that is interesting. But I like this a lot. Okay, RMF Eats a Sandwich. I think, I generally agree. I think this is probably. I mean, I actually like the second one a lot more if we're willing to just admit that it's an abuse angle. But I'm still not 100% sure. But this one was also interesting. I took away main ideas of faith and we already sort of mentioned a bit earlier, but sort of having faith and perseverance in achieving a goal, and doing it. And then, I don't know, having that all fall apart right before anything can be done with it, right at the end. It's something I've seen before. You know, it's sort of a I don't know if I want to call it a cliche because that might be a bit strong, but you know, where a character achieves a goal and then like they've done it and they're like so excited and then the fucking bus comes and hits them or something like that. You know what I mean? It's something we've seen. Um, so that's sort of how this one ends up playing out overall. But I think how we got there with this. Oh my god! Okay, Emma Stone plays Emily, and her sort of and just her unwavering sort of faith in what she's doing. That was all quite interesting. I sort of took those were sort of the main ideas I'm just throwing out there to start that I took away from this one.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think this one was pretty enjoyable in parts, but like making the cult angle and her kind of thing into a cohesive like philosophy is like harder for me, I guess.
Yeah, give us another 10 minutes and we'll have it done. Yeah. Oh, so in terms of her backstory, this is what I got from it, and tell me if you guys think I'm wrong. I assumed that Emily had been in this abusive relationship already with her husband.
Yeah.
That was another interesting sort of flip of perspective. That it happens more like in real, like it happens more literally as you're watching it. It's less like the last one, I guess. But in terms of like when the husband and kid first show up at the doorstep, and she'd been in the house, it's funny how framing does this, where you're just positioned. Same with the Willem Dafoe in the last one, where it's just like I'm immediately positioned to be on his side. At least I felt I was, where I was just like, yeah, why is she being all dodgy? And you know, why doesn't she come in and talk to her daughter? Like, what's she doing? You know, and I was kind of like, yeah, like,
yeah,
you know, be reasonable, you know, kind of thing.
I think I think a part of that is you also assume like she's influenced by the cult and by Jesse Plemons, so you kind of like see him as just like a you know, and not like a normal kind of like a normalcy kind of.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's usually how cult stories are. Yeah, that's totally true. And it's, you know, how you'd imagine it being in real life as well. You know, you have the family who wants them to come home and be normal, you know, and you sort of root for that side of it.
Yeah. But that's
yeah,
what Spooky was saying last night. He didn't like the rape of Emma Stone because he didn't see the point. But I think it was important to show that she was like the influence of the cult took root because she was kind of fleeing this abusive relationship, and I think like that kind of very clearly shows the relationship that she did. Yeah,
100%. I think the rape scene was probably the most important scene actually in that whole section for her to understand or for me to understand, like to fully grasp the, you know, where she was at and you know how important what she was doing was to her, because I assume, you know, what, like you said, for the cult the stuff to take root, she had to leave the relationship, join this cult, and I presume it would have given her a lot of purpose and sort of, you know, something to believe in as well. I presume that feels very core to the character, and why it was important to see the rape was like that's what she's fleeing, and this hope of the belief in the cult, and but more so this hope in finding this miracle person is like what she has to cling to basically, like, you know, cling to purpose and keep moving forward kind of thing, as opposed to, you know, just languishing as, you know, as a lot of victims do kind of thing. And finding that sort of greater purpose. So yeah, okay. No, I'm glad. And that totally, of course, flipped it, where I was just like, I now felt bad that I was like, wanted her to go and hang out with this guy because he sucked. In terms of the cult, so I liked the detail where they like have their like their blessed water or their holy water or whatever. They like have it in their car. I didn't understand from when they do the contamination test where they make them sweat it out in the sauna, and then old mate Hong Chow comes and licks you, which is again absurd Yorgos stuff. But I didn't quite understand like what the contamination aspect was about in terms of what about her was contaminated for her to be kicked out, other than the fact she'd just been raped.
Well, yeah, I think it is. I think because the cult leaders are meant to be, you know, your polyamorous kind of people that you're really only meant to have sex with them.
Oh, so she's only meant to have sex with Willem Dafoe.
or Hong Chow.
Yeah.
Or do they have sex with her too?
Because like earlier they set the example with the first woman, who they think has had sex with someone else, but then they test her and they they decontaminate
Oh, that's
her.
right. Yeah. I forgot the reason for that. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, it's all obviously bullshit, like cult stuff, but like it's funny that it throws like that touch of validity in the fact that they actually do find the Messiah they're looking for in the end. It's like, hold on, sorry, you telling me she actually can taste it through her sweat? Oh my god.
Yeah, no, exactly. That was that was interesting. That was, I mean, that makes sense from an arc point of view as well. Of, Emily's just been raped. She's kicked out of her her newfound purpose of her family, which is the cult, as a result of that. So she's at that lowest point, and then has her big sort of resurgence of hope at the end, where she finds old mate Margaret Qualley as a twin. Just like in Death Stranding, Jaden.
Oh.
Mind blown. Margaret Qualley playing twins. Whoa. But yeah, I think I misunderstood also what was going on with the twin characters. In terms of why the first twin dove into the, like, that scene was brutal, by the way. But when she dove into the pool with Emily there, I didn't understand at all, like, why that happened.
Because in the cult's prophecy, one twin had to be dead.
Really?
Yeah.
I totally missed that. Oh my god. Okay. So she was aware of this prophecy, or did Emily tell it to her?
No, she was aware of it somehow. I don't know, because she seemed really clued into the whole operation, and I don't know how exactly.
Yeah.
Unless, like, I mean, I guess like local towns do have like a they seem to know what's going on with some of the cult stuff that that's happening in their town. So unless they've heard of it,
But was like the raising of the dead, was that a cult thing, or was that just Emily's thing?
No, that was because they were using that to test to try and find who their deity was. Willem Dafoe somehow foresaw.
Yeah, he's in the flames or whatever. Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. So okay, that makes a lot of sense. So in the flashback where the first instance of diving into the pool, that was her, and then her sister saved her?
Yeah.
And then she did it again to kill herself, to make the prophecy come true.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, cool. Understood. So then what was the deal with that old dude that they visited who had the twin kids? That was a different set of twins?
Yeah, because they were just testing pretty much every twin at that point.
Oh, they were just literally looking for twins in the
bill.
town.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, gotcha. Because I was kind of like, for some reason, I don't know, I thought they were talking about them. So I was kind of like, did they at some point, I thought we were going to get a reveal where like they like faked dying so they could escape their dad. I don't know. I just totally was off on that. Okay. No, that's cool. There's actually, a few things I missed there, and then understanding the backstory, it is kind of like, this one's actually pretty straightforward, actually. Outside of obviously the notion of one being, being able to revive the dead. Outside of that, which I don't think anyone can do alive today, but who knows?
Alive today.
Well, they could back in the day, Jaden, as you know. We watched Ben-Hur. Yeah. Okay. No, that's cool. I did actually really like the detail of, I don't know why I noticed this. Maybe it was the help of the big screen experience, but like Margaret Qualley's, like her makeup team or whatever, the makeup guys, like she had different like skin acne depending on which character she was playing, which I thought was a cool detail. That was neat. I'm not usually good at noticing that shit in real life or in movies, but big screen made me notice that one. So shout out to that. Yeah. Okay. And sorry, I didn't want to, and I sort of touched on the ending a little bit, but that final, again, maybe it's time to, if our brains are ready for it, maybe it's time to loop back around to the ending.
Well,
in terms of what it means, how we felt about it, yeah.
Have any of us actually read this pamphlet?
I breezed it. Not really.
Did you read the common thread part, because it very clearly spells out the common threads of like the theme. where it talks about stories play with notions of faith and trust in human relationships and the free will that fluctuates between authority and
Oh,
and
yeah. Okay.
so I
I
mean
mean,
like
that's no fun.
all this
That's no
pondering,
fun. That's no fun. If it just
for
we have this
nothing.
pamphlet literally right here that we're reading right now that
Yeah.
answers this question.
Could have just read this out and be done with it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's no fun. Okay. I mean, yeah, no, that does make sense. I appreciate those parallels here. Examine through the three stories, the authority and how free will fluctuates. Yeah, okay, that's cool. I like that. Does it anywhere confirm the domestic abuse angle? Does it confirm our theory? Not really. It seems to just be more of a commonality thing. Look,
Well, if it says all the stories are about authority, I think the second one, like the authority there is Jesse Plemons.
Yeah, true. There's no real other authority in that story. Yeah, that's a good point. Freedom of choice and freedom from choice. Yeah, that's interesting.
Well, it says here that the film was previously titled RMF and then and, which is interesting.
So it was called RMF and?
No, RMF, and then it was called and then it was called Kind of
Kindness.
Kindness.
I'm sorry, I understand. Yeah. Yep. Kinds of Kindness is definitely the best name of all those. Okay, that's cool. So, this is Cinema Effect, the podcast where we read about a movie on camera.
Yeah, very, very quiet discussion. Yeah,
it's a very interesting podcast format there. Okay, now that's cool. So then, what is in RMF? It's a sandwich. What is the kind of kindness that we're seeing? The kinds of kindness that we're seeing play out, specifically in the ending. Going back to the ending, I'm trying to.
Well, the kind of kindness there was just the Margaret Qualley twin killing herself, I guess, for the cause.
Yep. Yeah, that's totally true. I guess that I don't think there was much kindness going on in the actual car accident. And the finding of yeah, you're right. But then, like, in terms of Emily doing the work.
Yeah. It's interesting how the pamphlet says, like, characters don't know, like, once they're given free will and choice, that they kind of don't know what to do with themselves and kind of they revert to the same structures that they are used to. Like, it's very obvious in the first one. But I think in the second one, if you look at it from the cop angle, it's like, when he's at home, he's no longer exercising any authority in his work, in his, like, day-to-day. So he starts exercising that authority on her, And then the third one, when she's set free from the cult, she doesn't go off and do her own thing. She still abides by, like, the same goals that the cult's always had, or the same rules, I guess. So, like, when matched, right. when given, like, this opportunity for freedom, they kind of always don't take it, I guess.
Yeah, because the cults. I was viewing it a bit more optimistically, the in terms of her goal with the cult, but really, she clings to that because it's like the cult's prophecy. It's the cult's notion that there's someone out there, and it's really her version of what Jesse Plemons is doing, trying to get back in the first one, like just that regular, the rules of an external organization sort of thing. Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, it's hard to deny that the actual final car accident was, like, not a bummer. Like, if we're looking at it from the two sides of the same coin perspective again, like, what's the? I mean, I guess the positive is that she found Margaret Qualley, whichever twin was the right one, the vet one, Rebecca. Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah. So I guess that's the positive, the character positive, I suppose. But then, like, what's the societal negative? Is that she succumbed to the cult, or that she didn't leave the cult?
Maybe you just have to look at it as, like, the ultimate consequence of not following your free will, Because that wouldn't have happened if she didn't remain on the same path after she was kicked out, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, that makes sense. She never would have found. Yeah, she would have just been free. She would have just done anything else, done literally anything else. If she was when she was booted out, just gone somewhere else and not stuck to keep the search going. Never would have happened. Yeah.
Mm,
Did she die in the final accident? We don't really know that, right?
No, because
Yeah.
she's like tapping Rebecca, isn't she?
Yeah. She's not dead. Emily's not dead.
Oh, okay. Well, she was tapping Rebecca?
Wasn't she?
Yeah. She was like, "Are you good? Are you alive?"
Fuck, I don't know what happened to me. I was totally missed that. I just remember the shot of her, like, Rebecca through the windshield. But was that were we hearing that in the background of her, like, trying to get her attention?
I don't know actually. Now I'm now.
I just don't remember. I might have, if it was happening audio wise, I might have missed it. But, like,
we saw her. We saw
visually.
her. She was just like,
Oh, okay.
Rebecca, are you alive?
Oh, okay.
Kind of thing.
Okay, gotcha. No, that's on me for sure. Okay, no, that's all interesting. Jaden, I feel like how does all this change or have anything to do with, or not change at all? Maybe you just need to get it on air. Your theory of this being told in reverse with the character of RMF and how he links through them.
I just think it still makes sense, doesn't it? Kind of. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I think his willingness to die in the first one kind of is kind of what makes me think that it's told in reverse, because
that is
because he's been revived and he's tried his new life, and then I guess he feels it's unfulfilling in some way or another, whether he's like it doesn't feel right to be given the second lease of life or whatever. Like that's the only thing I can really that makes me feel like it's in reverse.
Ties into the free will conversation.
True. Yeah. Yep. Freedom to die. Yep. Yep.
Wait, so is it literally like 3, 2, 1, like literally in reverse? Is that so? We don't know his life before he was revived, or is it 2, 3, 1?
I see it as 3, 2, 1. But 2, 3, 1 does make sense as well, I guess. But yeah.
Yeah.
Are we told how, like, because in with the first corpse we're told how it died, but are we told how RMF died or not? When he gets revived, is the main thing. That could indicate whether it's 2, 3, 1 or 3, 2, 1.
I feel like they might have said something, but I don't remember.
Yeah, I think yeah, I think.
You think?
I think.
Therefore you are.
I think therefore I am. Yeah.
Cogito ergo sum.
Yeah.
It's the philosophical discussion.
Yeah, it's fitting.
I think just like as another like kind of layer to the film is like, what's the misandry? Is that what it is? When you don't like men, like. I think if you view it through that angle, and like the kind of power structures of men that you see in the film is kind of prevalent throughout all 3 stories, and like how she can't escape it in the third one, particularly like either side.
There's definitely
from the cult, and then from the family, and then like the police force, and then Robert's corporation, running,
Yeah.
And then Sarah
Raymond's corporation,
Raymond, yeah.
So like I feel like it kind of continues on, like, again from a meta sense of like the kind of feminist angle of Poor Things to now a misandrist kind of angle to view these through,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yorgos hates men, confirmed.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. No, I really enjoyed that conversation. Are there, looking at the performance, I sort of wanted to save the performances. I feel like it would make more sense to talk about them more broadly and maybe compare them more. But were there any performances across the stories that you want to look at? Like, for example, like one where Jesse Plemons was better than others, or one that stood out more than others, anything like that? Anything that comes to mind right away?
I think Plemons as Robert was probably the most intriguing.
I agree. Yeah, it goes back to the strengths of that first one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked Willem. I liked Willem Dafoe's Raymond the most. I like Omi. Omi had his own unique feel, which I liked. Like his hair, that was cool, and he sort of brought something different to that. He brought something different to all of them, of course. But I don't know. Like Raymond felt like, in terms of him in that suit and him being that sort of condescending corporate guy, was felt the most fitting Willem Dafoe to me. I think.
Hmm.
I enjoyed that a lot.
Yeah. Even though Jesse Plemons plays like the most normal, in terms of societal views, type of person in the first one, it feels like kind of out of his normal stuff a little bit. Like the second and third one feel appropriately like Jesse Plemons weird type shit, but the first one's like,
right.
you don't really see him in that kind of traditional role, I guess.
Yeah, he is the everyman as much as an everyman can be in that story, in that world. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I really liked. I think Emma Stone shined the most in as Emily in the third one. I know she was the main. I know she was the main character of that one, obviously, but I just thought she had the most of. That probably helps, but I enjoyed that character the most, I think.
Well, yeah, she was very minor in the first one.
Yeah, she was definitely a supporting character there, and yeah, still Jessie was still the lead of the second one. Yeah. Emma Stone's final character, Emily, a cult follower, shares the same first name with Stone, who had to change her name at the start of her career, as someone else in the Screen Actors Guild also went by Emily Stone. Stone has to make it known that she prefers to be called by her given name. So Emily Stone is actually her name. Why do you have to change your name because someone else in the guild has your same name?
Yeah, that surprised me for the reason. I knew she changed it because someone else had that name, but I just thought it was just for like clarity's sake, and she didn't want to get mistaken for another person. I didn't. That frames it as if it's like actual like guild rules that you can't.
Guild rules. Sorry, you have to change your name. That's terrible. That's weird. Surely not.
I don't know, man.
So this is what Yorgos was talking about. These societal roles right here. These company roles.
Yeah, that's why it was really important that she was named Emily in the third one. That's cool.
Literally.
Yeah, I know we played the game yesterday where we were trying to figure out like who everyone was in each of them. That we like Joe Alwyn. We figured out for the first two. His most prominent role was in RMF Eats a Sandwich, but like Mamadou Athie, I couldn't place him as Will in the first one. Where was he in that one?
Was he the guy buying the sports goods? Like I know that Alwyn was the appraiser. But I think he was the one that was actually like sitting there like buying it.
You're right. So it was both of them in that scene in the first one.
Yeah.
No, you're totally right. Okay, cool. That's cool. I guess just the idea more broadly of like the IMDb, like there's a whole paragraph on it in here which you can look at, which maybe we won't read right now, but the IMDb also had a bunch of trivia about like who was considered for each of the three roles. Like it has, I don't know, like 10 famous actors were all considered for Jesse Plemons. But the point is that it was always envisioned as one actor would play these three parts. One actor would play these three parts. So
I'm pretty sure this says explicitly otherwise.
No?
I swear it said that
what?
Initially they were thinking about casting other people.
Yeah. But
for each role.
Yeah, but story. That's obviously. Hang on.
But you're saying the opposite. You're saying that they always meant for like one person to play three stories.
Oh, sorry. Always might be the wrong way to put it. But they came to the conclusion that one person should play all three parts, and then they started looking.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. I might have worded that poorly. My apologies.
You did.
But yeah, so just that choice though in general, as someone coming into the film who I didn't know the actors were going to cross over at all, I also like when we were in the first story and it was Willem Dafoe and Jesse Plemons, I'm like, oh yeah, cool, this is them. And then I figured Emma Stone must be coming in a later one. You know what I mean? So then when Emma Stone turned up in the first one as well, I was like a fair bit into it. I was kind of like, oh. So then who's left? I guess I was like, is Hunter Schafer gonna, like who's left? So I wasn't expecting that at all. But I guess I'm just wondering, because it is such a unique thing, like how the notion of that choice of having the actors play these different roles cross over, how that affects the experience. If that's something we enjoyed. For me, it kind of, doing this podcast and speaking it all through has helped, but coming right out of it, it sort of made it all blur together a bit more than I would have liked. Which is sort of probably an unavoidable effect. That may be something like when you proposed last night, Jaden, like, could you release this as a TV series? Like, something like that would help mitigate that for me.
I don't think any of it blurred together at all.
Okay.
I'll say that. But yeah, I think the fact that, like, we get to credit like, still for each story kind of speaks to it should have been like, I don't know, episodic on television or like, a little bit serious type thing.
Right. Okay. You didn't mind like having all the actors cross over? If
Not at all. It would have been great for the question that we asked a few weeks ago about one actor playing two people in the same film.
Oh yeah, absolutely, in one film. Yeah. That's almost It's almost cheating because it's kind of like 3 shorts put together. But yeah, it is interesting. So those credits that popped up at the end of every of every story. You notice how, because Hunter Schafer wasn't in the end of the third one, so I think the idea was that the credits were always like showing, like it was always the same list of actors and just showing the role they played. It was more meant to represent the unity between them as opposed to like any individual parts weren't shouted out there.
No, because like
actual
Owen was insignificant in the first one, like especially like compared to like what Schafer does later. So like
yeah. Cool. We've been going a while. Any points we want to bring up on cinematography, the 35mm print, score,
the print was so clean it almost didn't feel like film. Like I think like if you look at it you could kind of see like a texture to it, I guess, but like there was I literally did not notice like any marks, any dirt, any dust, any kind of cut, scrape, anything at all to indicate that it was film. I was like, this is like fresh out of the can, man. Been transported like 2 meters and not picked up a single bump. But like I think at the end of the day, like, because like I was thinking like should they just have shown digital at this point, but I'm like no, because then digital does remove that texture for sure.
Yeah.
But you can introduce it back in.
Yeah. It's interesting. I don't know. It is obviously the whole film versus digital thing. I don't know if this might be the least I've gotten from seeing a film on a print. Because of that. Yeah. And it just didn't have the same. Yeah. I don't know. Those marks, and I mean, obviously the projector cutting out in Ben-Hur was like, was a thing, which was great. So yeah, I don't know. This sort of felt like it was the most I've ever felt where it's just like I wouldn't have known if you hadn't told me.
I was thinking that as well, but then I just kept thinking back to the way the house is shot in the first short, that Robert's.
Yeah, Robert. Yeah.
Robert's house, yes, was shot, and like I think there's a it kind of takes on like and he's gonna love this, a little shout out to Todd Haynes, but like the house in Safe kind of and the house in the first short kind of take on they kind of felt similar both in design style, but then also because they were shot on film, and I think that if you shot this house on digital it would look it'd lose so much of its character as well. And like, so I also think I feel like there's such a, like, outside of the first one there is such an architectural kind of, and like specifically like kind of like dwelling kind of space focus with each story, because the second one's so set within a house, and then the third one between the shared living spaces of the motel and the mansion and then the house. Like I think the film was important to add texture to the location of the dwellings.
Yeah, that's interesting. This debate fascinates me. I can't disagree with you, but it's just like
I just think
universe where it's shot on digital,
Yeah, I think if it was shot on digital, each location would feel, given its residential focus, I think each location would feel a lot more like you're looking at a real estate like highlight reel.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if you guys felt that as well, but like I felt like there was a real emphasis on place.
Probably mainly in the first one. I agree with that.
I think in the second one, the second one really gets you to understand the layout of the house and the kind of split floor system they have, and it kind of really,
you're right about that,
like, grounds you, and like, yeah. I think the third one's definitely the loosest of them, but like, I think you can still follow it through with, like, thematically, given that she's part of the larger body.
True.
Yeah. Well, and the third one does kind of linger on like the big, mansion that they have when they first arrive there. So I think.
Okay. Andy wrote in his review for Secret Film, aka this film. Kinds of Kindness. He said, Kinds of Kindness might be a throwback to Yorgos' early Greek weird wave masterpieces, but substituting it with the American cityscape. The absurdity in Poor Things was definitely present, but came off rather overexcited with its approach. The tone was better utilised for Kinds of Kindness because the absurdity felt more subtle. I was more amused with the deadpan dialogue here because it felt very familiar to The Lobster and his Greek language films, and I got to truly embrace the sick humour more with both the ensemble cast and this fascinating, strange three-way script from Yorgos' returning screenwriter. Oh my god, I'm just going to say Philip Hu. I'm not saying his first name. I love how slick this 35mm experience was compared to Poor Things last year with their rougher print. There you go, so Andy's a fan of that. I believe this has been the most entertaining film I've seen from Yorgos in a while. It combines the bizarreness of Nimic, the randomness of The Lobster, the brutality of Dogtooth, and the mundane surrealism of the Alps. The mundane surrealism of Alps and the cold-bloodedness of the killing of a sacred deer. It's a celebration of Yorgos' obsession for grotesque humour done through an exhibition of dark but sillier fables. This was a shortened version of my original review yet to be released on Letterboxd. Cheap plug there. 9 out of 10. Andy was a huge fan. Thank you, Andy. I appreciate, Andy invites us to the 35mm. I greatly appreciate that. But I'm also more I'm more happy that he got more out of it than I did. You know what I mean? He's passionate about it. I appreciate that. That's not saying get, of the 35mm specifically, I'm talking about. I enjoyed the theatre experience. The screen was really, I don't know, the way we were sitting in the theatre and just how wide the screen was. Maybe I'm just used to sitting further back in the theatre, but it was like, and we were right in the centre. It was just perfect. Okay, Luke said in his review, the 3-film structure was interesting and allowed me to tolerate the absurdity within each story. The absurdity which each story uniquely embraced. Jesse carried the first film, Emma carried the third, and together their chemistry and tension in the second was worth watching. I often thought that the choice of certain scenes of violence was overindulgent, and to me at least, did not contribute greatly to the story. Willem played each of his roles very well. 5 out of 10. P.S. Great name for a boat. That was a great name for a boat, actually. Jane, we can't hear you, sorry. Feel free to redo that.
Nah, it's alright. It's done. It's over.
You going to say something about ho, ho, ho?
I was.
Oh.
But it's all good.
Okay. Thank you for your review, Luke and Andy. I mean, I say I'm good. I'm not really good because it's time for our final verdicts of Kinds of Kindness, and now I'm a little bit conflicted, to be honest. I'll give it a 6. I think that's being honest to my walking out experience. In reflecting on these things, I really like this conversation. I was tempted to put it up to a 7 because I think we did a good job of finding the cohesiveness in between the stories, but I'll just be honest to how I felt walking out, and then if I rewatch it, I can see it going up. Jaden.
I can always give it an 8, which really goes against what I was talking about at the start about like should an inconsequential movie get an 8? But like I think it is really great. It's just that I don't know, like, and despite like how much I can talk about it here, I just don't think I'm going to think about this film again.
Yeah,
I'll chuck a 7 of it. Yeah, 7. Yeah, 7.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. Fitzy.
Yeah, I feel like more or less the same that you guys do. I'll also give it a 7. I think this discussion has helped immensely. So
yeah, I agree. Yeah, I give this discussion an 8.
It makes me it makes me wish we did Poor Things because I feel like I would have gotten more out of that if we like broke it down, and it makes me feel in general that like Yorgos' films have more depth than I maybe thought they did because I've never really done this before, like analyzed a Yorgos film to this level. I think I always assumed there was like, just a surface level of absurdity and some kind of vague commentary you could draw, but I think this film shows how deep it can go and how thoughtful he is, I guess. So yeah.
I totally agree. It definitely makes. I mean, I really enjoyed The Lobster, but it makes me. I mean, it doesn't make me like Poor Things, but it makes me. I don't know. Yeah, looks at his future films I'll watch it from a different angle for sure.
Mm.
Let's get into news chat. Let's rapid fire some trailers. So Gladiator 2, Liam and I watched this one. This is like historically the biggest trailer of the week, you know, sequel to an Oscar-winning film from 24 years ago at this point, which is nuts. Fitzy, what did you think of this trailer and that music choice, which I now understand?
No, yeah, the music choice was hilarious. You know, everyone is right to point out that they just put that in there because they had one, you know, black actor in the trailer, and they just, you know, and the vague references to the Colosseum, and it's totally jarring considering it's you know ancient Rome. But the trailer before that was alright. It kind of it could end up feeling kind of parody-ish and just like how big they're taking, you know, the Colosseum battles, how much they kind of elevating those to like Hunger Games level kind of random spectacle. But I don't know. Hopefully they maintain some of the soul of the first film, because even though I don't find the first film too compelling, there is, you know, that Hans Zimmer score and that kind of the soulful nature of like Marcus Aurelius's, like, you know, his little tidbits and that kind of thing, that it adds quite a lot to that first film. So I'm
pretty sure I saw that there is going to be like a soundtrack of like modern day music in the film. Yeah, I saw it like
in the film.
I saw a tweet. So let's not, you know, let's not trust this too much. But like,
saw a tweet.
It said that Travis Scott's going to be on the soundtrack, as well as like, you know, the as well as like the Church in the Wild Design and all that shit.
Oh my god,
that's a choice.
Yeah. You're gonna have Watch the Throne, Astro World,
Donda.
throw Donda in there as well. Just to fucking...
Oh man, yeah. I'm basically right there with you. I think the film looks great, like visually. Which I wouldn't really expect anything less from a Ridley epic, but this is something where I can see this being. Oh, I don't want to judge too harshly. I can see this being a 7 at absolute best kind of thing, but from this trailer, where I was like, at best, I can see myself enjoying it and thinking it was good and, you know, all that, but. Like, I can also see it potentially being a whole lot worse, just based on, I don't know, the vibes. I like how you put it with the Colosseum fight seeming going pretty big, and just that. Look, part of me kind of wants to think that you know, I
think it was just a piss take. Sorry.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, it was a piss take. Yeah.
Yeah, but that music choice is like. Look, it wouldn't have been bad if this was like another Hercules reboot or something, right? It's the choice of with the film and like what the legacy of this film is. Again, opinions of the first one aside, it's an Oscar-winning, you know, seminal classic film, whatever, all that kind of thing. So it's like, you know, to then strap it with this music choice of like, we're a blockbuster, you know, whatever, just generic marketing trailer music. It's like, all right, that's interesting. I don't know. It's really the right vibe you want to be giving off now.
Well, in whoever made this choice as like defense, they did the same thing for the Great Gatsby trailer.
That's a killer trailer, though.
Way back, and that it kind of, it kind of worked because that was about like decadence and opulence, and ancient Rome is like kind of, you know, it's a similar thing. Exactly. But I think like for a gladiator movie, which, as I said, has to maintain that kind of soul and that idea of like, you know, the slaves rebelling and that kind of thing. It doesn't really
it's very different when Baz Luhrmann, this over the top, you know, guy does it to when Ridley Scott does it. And I think I haven't seen the trailer. I when I was searching for this thing before, apparently the trailer's been re-edited to have like normal music. Is that true?
I watched it this morning. No,
really? Okay.
Unless there's another version. Oh no, there was a fan re-edit of it. Yeah.
No, there was a news article saying that it was like they edited the trailer to like put Hans Zimmer score on it. I don't know, maybe not.
I don't know.
No.
Can't trust this shit. Enough Paramount did, but yeah.
Yeah, sure. But yeah, when Luhrmann did it for Great Gatsby, it was fantastic. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
Like to have Flux Pavilion on the soundtrack, you know, like so, like even if like this does continue and to the film, like I wouldn't write it off entirely.
No, yeah, I don't want. Yeah, exactly. Like, if it ends up playing, it plays. That's great, but like, it comes across as an odd choice, and it's alarm bells for sure. But we'll see. All right, F1. I think we all watched this one. Jaden, what do you think?
Yeah, I've been keen for this. You know, they've been filming this like on the actual tracks for over a year now.
Yeah.
And they've trucked Brad Pitt at the back of the grid, you know, to get some shots of him. You know, it's been fun. Kind of, a lot of F1 fans are upset about it because like they're like, you know, oh, it's tainting the sport and its authenticity, and that's ridiculous. This is 20 fucking millionaires driving around in a circle. There is no like real integrity to the sport. You can't say that a Hollywood movie is like tainting your sport.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I'm keen for this. I've loved following along the kind of shooting of it week by week, not week by week, but like, you know, whenever the Apex GP team is at the race. I don't know. I think it's just been a really fun production kind of time for me because you just see Brad Pitt every now and then, you know, on the track or in the background of interviews, because like they are doing it like authentically. Like at the end of a race, like when drivers have to like go to like the media pen and do their interviews, sometimes you just see Brad Pitt walking through the background to give like a mock interview in the same place.
Right.
And
right.
like in the trailer, like seeing shots of like, you know, like these real F1 people, and like Gunther Steiner, who was a team boss who's now gone. But then also like the way they've like, so as well as having the Apex GP cars that they built, like I think Mercedes built them for the for shooting. Like they've also taken like real footage from the sport and then like edited the Apex like car over it. So like they've like there was this really famous kind of, not famous, but like I think last year at Spa, like there was this really impressive overtake by Pierre Gasly, and they've just taken that and they've edited the Apex GP car over it. So it's cool to see how they're doing this film. Yeah, I'm really keen for it.
That's going to help with the authenticity, all that stuff. Like if they're literally in that environment as it's happening, and just also kind of shooting their film on the download as, or you know, sort of squeezing it in.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. Speaking of music choices and trailers, I was not a fan of this one. This goddamn Queen song. Come on, guys, we are the champions. Was it? Oh no, what was it? We Will Rock You. I can't remember. I don't know. One of those generic Queen songs, man.
Oh, I didn't pay attention to the music because like I watched it, like I saw the trailer like just before the start of the Silverstone GP last week, and I just thought like the music choice was like just like from like the Sky F1 team. I didn't know if that was trailer music or if that was just from them. Whatever it was,
I don't know if you.
I didn't even realize. Yeah,
take it in. Yeah, it was just a Queen song. I don't know. It didn't fit for me. Yeah. It didn't fit for me. Well, visually it looked great though. Like it totally looked like Top Gun, but with Formula One cars, where in terms of these in cockpit, is that's not the right word in terms of for cars. I don't think cockpit, but
no, it is a cockpit in F1.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
cool. So in terms of these in cockpit shots of Brad Pitt clearly zooming around, that's pretty sick. I mean, to me, as someone who doesn't give a shit about cars, it is inherently less impressive than Tom Cruise actually flying a jet. But nonetheless, it looks cool on screen. So like, I'm interested.
Yeah, Tom Cruise was in an F1, so Days of Thunder.
Wasn't Days of Thunder? Isn't that?
I'm not F1, but whatever, you know, like racing related.
Shit, I might need to watch that. Oh, I definitely should. Yeah. What do you think of this trailer, Fitzy?
Yeah, I don't really remember much of it, but yeah, I don't know. It could be good.
Okay. Captain America: Brave New World. So, am I the only one who actually watched it properly? Jaden watched it with no audio.
Yeah, Spooky showed it to me last time on the bus. I was like, yeah.
On a phone. Okay, this trailer got off to a bad start when literally the first line of it is like they're trying to cover that Harrison Ford is now playing William Hurt's character. You know what? Like they have that line of dialogue where it's like, I like the new look. You haven't got the mustache anymore. You know, like trying to acknowledging the recast in universe. And it's like, obviously, like you got to have it in the movie. That's fine, but don't have it as the first line of your trailer. Like, come on, dude. Anyway, that shit's cringe. But, and so that, I don't know. This looked fine. Giancarlo Esposito walking around with an assault rifle is actually kind of a sick visual. So, like, I'll give him that. He's usually playing the dude in the suit and tie. You know what I mean? So he's actually out there on the ground, like he's like some sort of SWAT dude. I'm like, oh yeah, that's pretty sick. I like Anthony Mackie still. So that's cool. I do think I'm very much looking forward to seeing CG Harrison Ford as a Red Hulk. I feel like that is something that might have some impact on his legacy in cinema. We'll see. But just the idea of it is kind of funny to me. But yeah, I don't know. It could be cool. I'm not jumping up and down or anything. But Jan, I know you had some thoughts about the Agatha All Along trailer.
Oh yeah, this looks god awful, man. Looks dog shit. Looks so bad, man. Like I don't know, like they greenlit this shit straight after WandaVision, and I don't know why they chose to adapt Agatha as a character.
Well, it's had 3 name changes, yeah.
Well, yeah, which is ridiculous. And then like landing on Agatha All Along is like, because we were talking about it last night, is like people are now theorizing that it was all part of clever marketing to be like Agatha All Along, and,
as if,
and that the previous titles are now episode titles, and like that's what it was. But no, it's
they can say that if they want. I don't believe that for a second.
Yeah, like he was saying, like in the Marvel Echo Chamber, that's what's going on. But yeah, absolutely not.
Yeah,
it just looks so. It looks like a CW show, and it just does. It's like what? I mean, look, maybe it's the strength of having comic books, I guess, but like, I just feel like the MCU has kind of dug themselves into a hole where they've kind of got this whole connected universe thing, and like they want everything to relate to everything. But this looks like such an independent story. Which, had they been doing this the entire time of like just trying to adapt independent comic books and narratives and characters, it'd be fine. But because they've gone for this whole connected universe thing, this now standalone witch character taking back her thing, it just feels so out of place in terms of an adaptation.
Right. Yeah.
But Aubrey Plaza's in it, so I'll watch it.
Okay. Yeah. Exactly. Of all characters, like to just take a shot at doing a standalone thing. I mean, I don't know. People like WandaVision more than us, I think, but
yeah.
I'm basically right there with you. This it doesn't help also that how they rebranded to Marvel Television, like it has that logo at the start now. It's like, okay, look, I don't know. Maybe there's some thought in that I'm not seeing at the moment, but like on the surface, it's like, are you deliberately trying to make your products like stand out as being inferior at this point? Like they used to just all the Disney Plus shows used to just be Marvel Studios, like the films, and like be treated just as equally. Now I feel like they're just trying to go in an opposite direction. I mean, hey, if like they know this isn't equal and they're trying to like make that clear, then maybe that's why. But it just seemed like an odd choice. And a lot of these Disney Plus shows end up being pretty mid to bad. I don't look. I don't want to make. You guys know I don't like to make judgments too early if I can. I'm trying to be reasonable about things, but like I don't know if I've ever seen a Disney Plus Marvel trailer that's so obviously going to turn out bad. Like, you know what I mean? But like you could look at like Secret Invasion by all accounts turning out bad, but like looking at the trailer, I was like, oh, this looks cool. And same with like Hawkeye. Oh yeah, this looks cool. And like, but I thought that show was average. Whatever. That's opinions aside. It's just like trailers are one thing, and then you get the product. This trailer looked like, oh, this product's gonna be bad. So like maybe it's going to be a reverse psychology where it's actually good, but like I don't know. It just seemed like a situation where the trailer finally sort of just spills the beans for what it is. But yeah, we'll see. I'm not going to watch it anyway, so whatever. I'll see what everyone else thinks. Now it's time for our highlights of the week. If we can still be bothered. Fitzy, what have you been watching?
Oh yeah, I watched Twisters.
Oh yeah, nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It was pretty decent. Glenn Powell did his thing. They were both hammied up as kind of, tornado obsessed country Midwestern kind of people. So that was fun. The tornado sequences were actually. Some of them are actually pretty great. Like there's three kind of big ones, I guess. And there's one in the middle of the film, which is, it kind of takes you by surprise a bit. And it was like pretty affecting, actually. It was pretty good. And yeah, it was less corny than I expected, I guess. I bought into the Glenn Powell, Daisy kind of relationship. So I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
It was a good film. It was a good film.
An actually good movie, not like a fun.
No, it wasn't like that. It was.
Yeah.
It was actually decent. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, that's good to hear. I also went to the cinema. I went to the PIV for I think only my 4th time ever. as far as I recall. And I had my best experience at the PIV so far. I've long been a hater of the PIV. I'm not gonna lie, mainly because of their whack aspect ratio and the green exit sign being right next to the screen. But whatever, that beef's in the past. Because maybe I've realised because I went to see The Promised Land, which is this Danish film with Mads, and this film was killer. So maybe I just needed to see a good movie. You know what I mean? Maybe that was the distinction that I was waiting on here at the Pivotonian. Yeah, this is really great. So it's about 1700s Denmark. You got basically, apparently it's historically accurate. Apparently in Denmark at the time they had this huge percentage of the country's land that was infertile. Is that the correct word when you can't like? I feel like I'm mixing up my language.
What?
Would you call land that you can't soil infertile?
Sure. Yeah.
That's okay. That's
Yeah.
acceptable. Okay, just making sure
Yeah.
I'm not like saying anything out of pocket. So anyway, huge percentage of the land there was an issue. They needed people to try and settle it and use it for farming and shit, but they couldn't. It was a huge problem. No one could do it. Mads makes it his life mission to go out there into this barren land and basically make it usable. So it was sort of this tale of like, this dude, like a tale of hardship and, set in those times. And then faced a lot of obstacles along the way, a lot of political obstacles as well. There's a villain character in it, which is just like played perfectly. And it, perfectly hateable, but like not in a cartoon, like just perfect pitch tone perfect in terms of how to represent a villain in this kind of story. And then you sort of had a family dynamic develop as well. It was a really good movie. Just nothing like, I don't think it's going to win an Oscar or anything. Nothing's going to nothing you haven't seen before necessarily, but it's a really good looking movie that really immerses you in that time and place. A really solid story. Just easy recommendation for sure. They still at the PIV do the goddamn thing. Have you guys been there since I've started doing this, where they raise the aspect ratio of the screen to where like they put all of the black bar on the bottom so
Oh.
it's to help because the seating in the theater is such that like people's heads could obscure your view if they're right in front of you. So they raise the whole screen so that so this film was 235, but instead of there being a black bar on the top and a black bar on the bottom, they double the black bar on the bottom, and so the film's right at the top of the screen. And it's like, it sounds like nothing. It just kind of
No, that does sound gross, to be honest.
It's kind of gross. Yeah, I saw Banshees that way when it came out, and I thought it was gross. This time I expected it going in, so it was there, and I was like, okay, just needed a good movie, and I was able to get over it. But yeah, a little bit whack. I mean, I do understand the practical purpose of it. You got a lot of old folk in there, want to be able to see the movie. That was me being ageist when I also want to see the movie. But anyway, Jaden, what have you been watching?
Great question. Like I had to look at, like I haven't watched really any movies, and I was trying to think like what TV have I been watching? And I honestly don't know. So I guess I'll talk about Lord of the Rings. The Rings of Power TV show.
You're diving back in.
Yeah, I started again from the start because I was like, I do remember most things, but I was like, I should probably go fresh, which is like kind of a mistake, kind of not, because it was great watching it on like a big TV this time rather than my computer. But then at the same time, like I remembered everything. So it was like I could have skipped it, but like it was actually good, like watching a Lord of the Rings on the TV again, and like with kind of modern production quality. Like as much as I love the old, like the 2000s films, it's really nice to see. I don't know, some of the stuff that you can do with 2022 technology, in Lord of the Rings. I'm still liking it. I'm still really liking it. Like I don't know what ended up happening in terms of like audience ratings afterwards. Really, like I guess it's getting a season 2. So like, were all 5 seasons confirmed at once, weren't they, or something like that? All 4 or some shit like that.
I don't know anything about how many seasons they're meant to be.
Yeah. But like, yeah, like I don't really see what issues people could possibly have other than like racist people.
Oh yeah.
But like, it's pretty quality stuff as far as like as from everything I'm saying. I know some people took issue with like how basic some of the armor is, but I'm like, it looks fine still.
Whatever.
And like the story is pretty interesting as of right now, and like I'm really kind of hopeful. Like I only got to episode 4, which is where I stopped last time, so I haven't seen anything new yet. Okay. But like I'm like, yeah, this is all pretty good stuff, and I'm very keen for what's coming, and hopefully we'll for what's coming in season 2.
Yeah, cool. I'm really curious what you think when you're done. Just because other than the two things that sort of I know a lot of fans don't like it. I don't know if it's because it like contradicts things in the Silmarillion or some bullshit like that. I don't know. Like, sorry, if you're into that, that's not bullshit. Like, I respect you, but like, I'm just saying from our point of view, like, I don't know if I would care about that. If it contradicts like,
But like, so like,
deep lore things
but
or
like,
something,
what
I
is
don't know.
that thing? What is the Silmarillion?
It's the fucking other Lord of the Rings book that Tolkien wrote. That's like it's like a law. I think it's like a huge law book encyclopedia thing.
Oh, really?
About like all the history of Middle Earth and all this shit.
Oh,
Yeah,
I didn't.
I think there's stuff that my understanding is that like there's stuff that it does that goes against things that people don't like. So like, you know, that's totally valid if that's true. I've got no earthly idea, to be honest with you.
Right.
The only other takeaway I know other than that is like, obviously I think it is fair to say that it has just totally vanished from the zeitgeist in pop culture. Like, no one talks about this show.
Yeah, I didn't even know there was a new season coming out until 2 months ago. Like,
So
until a month ago,
so like
yeah.
Exactly, and I don't know if that could very well just be because it's like overhated. Also, I'm not making any comment on what the cause of that is, but it is interesting nonetheless. I've noticed it. But yeah, I do also want to revisit it for sure.
How much did you watch last time? Did you finish it?
First episode. No, I watched the first episode. I wouldn't need to rewatch it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's why I want to see what you think as well.
Yeah.
Because if you like it, I think I'll like it. Because I'm right. I'm not like a diehard Lord of the Rings guy.
Well, the thing is, like, I don't like House of the Dragon, but I think, like, at the end of the day, I think House of the Dragon is going to be considered better than this. So I mean, like,
oh, it definitely already is.
Yeah, but like, I think this is better than House of the Dragon at the moment. It's like, I don't know how that kind of scales for you.
Right? Yeah. I'm not sure either.
It's like if you're expecting a product, you know, the quality of House of the Dragon, then you're not going to get it with this, I think.
No. I'm not going in expecting to like it as much as House of the Dragon.
Yeah, right.
No way. But I mean, again, we'll see what you think. I would expect I'd probably like it, but I don't know. Now comes a segment where we hand the show over to you with our question of the show. This should be a pretty easy one for us because we've done our part already. Last week we asked you, what have you been watching recently? Luke said, I've watched so much House MD that I should be given an honorary medical license. Luke last night was literally spitballing to me about like how you treat certain wounds and stuff, as if he's actually like been to university and done this shit, which is pretty concerning. But yeah, shout out to House MD, I guess. Have you guys ever seen that show?
No, but there's Twitter clips and shit all the time.
Yeah.
Really? Oh, like it's quite popular, like funny clips and stuff.
Yeah, it's funny shit. Some of the things that happen. Yeah.
Really? Oh, okay. I figured it was just one of those boring procedurals, to be honest with you. I didn't know there was anything like stand out about it that could go viral. But yeah, that's cool. Aiden said, everyone who likes comedy and has no problem with swearing needs to watch Shoresy, Letterkenny spin-off that is as good, if not better, than the original show. I've never heard of any of these shows. I don't know a thing about this. But I watched the clip that Aiden put in the Discord, and it was pretty funny. So is this like Canadian? What's because they were obviously Canadian, which was funny with their accent. But like, is it? Please, someone help me. Is it like Canadian ice hockey teams or something?
I think
gathered that from that one clip.
They're like Trailer Park Boys, isn't it?
I think Shoresy is the ice hockey team. It's because it's a character within the Trailer Park show, which is Letterkenny. Yeah, it's like a spin-off show basically.
Got it. So Letterkenny is a show about Canadian trailer park people.
I don't know if it's trailer park people, but I think yeah, maybe. I think it's that kind of vibe. Yeah.
Well, it's like farmers, like real rural farmers, I think, or something like that.
Right. Okay. And Shoresy's a character in that show who must play ice hockey or something, and then he gets his own ice hockey show.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
I think so.
That tracks. Okay. That clip was pretty funny, so maybe I should check this out. I don't even know where to watch it, but that's cool. Andy said, that's actually sounds exactly right. And he said, what I have been watching recently is the Copa America, a football tournament. Oh my God. That was initially for South American countries that would later include North Americans from the 2007 tournament and onwards. Japan, for some reason, got to play the 2007 one. Unfortunately, not only is Copa America such a lame fucking competition because of it being a shorter tournament with less countries than the Euros World Cup and even the Women's World Cup, they don't even do extra time after drawing in 90 minutes, except for the final. They just go straight to pens. It is truly as pathetic as preseason club friendlies. The Yankees are hosting this year's tournament, so it's no surprise that they ruin this competition by being this disgracefully lazy. Hang on, There's 2 more paragraphs of this about the goddamn. Oh my god! Hang on. Well, I thought Andy was then actually going to go into more different stuff. Jaden, does any of this relate to you? And if I read it, is it worthwhile that you could, that it relates to you, that you'll enjoy me reading it?
I don't care about the Copa America at all. And it's for one, I don't really care about international football. But then when it comes to in terms of scaling it, the Copa America really means nothing to me at all.
Gotcha. Okay, so that's great. Okay. For everyone listening, the show's basically over. If you want to know what film we're doing next week, you can head to the comments on YouTube. But I'm going to finish this for Andy because he's a loyal listener. And then we'll wrap it up. Okay. What's worse is that they screwed up the most basic thing no one should have stuffed up more for any sporting tournament. Their tournament tree makes no fucking sense. It's not like they have a complicated amount of 24 nations to deal with like the Euros, as opposed to a more straightforward competition with 16, which is Copa America's amount, or 32 teams. Usually the 2 top teams that progress from the group stages will not run into each other in the knockout rounds at all, and should only meet again until the grand final. Yet this shitty competition somehow has 2 qualified teams that have already played each other in the group stages face off again in the semi-finals, which is such a stupid way to organise the tournament because it ruins the entire point of a tournament tree. Absolutely. It's the only basic thing you need to get right before you even draw these teams into the assigned groups. But I'd like to think it's more unintelligent Yankees' fault again because they do call this soccer after all. American football, my ass, they only kick the ball with their feet every 15 minutes. That's true. But considering how inconsistent
That's such
this
a
tournament
wog argument.
actually
I love
is,
that. The whole how much
what's
in
actually
my life
encompasses the foot.
Yeah, I've heard, or uncles and stuff say AFL is not football because they use their hands so much. This is football.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with the Americans, to be honest. But considering how inconsistent this tournament actually is, it's no wonder the Euros is really a more superior continental competition. I would argue that the Euros is just on the same level as the World Cup. It's a shame that the Euros are shown very late during 2 a.m. or 5 a.m. over here, because most of the live matches I've been able to watch was Copa America, which is around 10 a.m. Hence, that's what I've been recently watching. I've ditched my sleeping schedule to watch the Euros instead of the Copa America since Wednesday. Thank you, Andy. Thank you very much. God bless you. And your football opinions. Okay. That's it. Let's get out of here. Usually I'd ask Liam what we're doing, but he's gone. So, Jaden,
He's
what
too
are we
upset to talk
reviewing?
about what we're doing next week.
Yeah, I can't blame him. Oh, no, I can hear him. Liam.
I don't want to show my face. I'm embarrassed.
What? What's going on?
I don't want to show my face in defeat.
Oh, okay.
No, I was joking. I thought that would go longer. I thought there was more things.
More football.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I got through it.
Yeah, unfortunately, we did a poll last week. This week, and like the Targaryen dynasty, like ancient Rome, all great and terrible things must come to an end. So, with a heavy heart, I announce, I've been defeated in a poll, for the first time in, I don't know, not, what is it, 9 months, 10 months, something like that. It was a presidential term. Yeah, lost in translation, bet local hero, which is a sad state of affairs. I really like lost in translation, so I can't be that bad about it. But
okay.
Really
I'd like to take this moment to thank our loyal listeners, our Instagram followers, for putting an end to the tyranny. Thank you all. God bless you. God bless your families. Where can people watch Lost in Translation?
Jaden the Usurper. I think it's on Stan and Prime. I think.
Oh yeah, okay, got a couple choices there. Okay,
So,
very good. If that's
Prime.
wrong, I'll correct it in the comments.
Oh, it's on Prime. Okay.
It's on Prime.
I
Okay.
thought for sure it would be a Stan. Oh, it's on
So we got to watch this
Prime
shit with ads
and
now?
Netflix. There you go.
Oh, it's on Netflix too. Okay, that's fine. Don't worry about it. No ads. No ads for Zaki. All right. That's it. Appreciate everyone tuning in. I appreciate Liam and Jane for joining me as always. Have a great rest of your week and goodbye.